Yeah, just
Hello,
to
hello.
start us off, Kyle.
Hello. This is Truth Be Told. This is Dr. Kyle Dumpert.
This is Dr. Walter Aka.
And Dr. Gary Dennis.
So,
How's it
yeah,
going, guys?
We're alive.
you know, it's funny. Whenever we started this podcast, it was one of those things where you always try not to be a part of the news or be the news. You know what I mean? Like you want to just do your best not to be a part of this whole craziness of the world, right? And for the first time, actually no, second time, Gary and I have been a part of the news where I had people outside of the U.S. contacting me saying, "Are you alive?" You know what I mean? And when it gets to that point, you just know that the world is even going, man, America's, ooh, what the hell's going on over there? You know what I mean? As everybody knows, Houston and Texas pretty much just was shut down. No electricity, no water, and it was very tragic. And one thing that we also talked about was we didn't want to be political on this podcast. Or at least try our best. Gary fails a lot sometimes. we try our best not to be political, but this episode is going to have some politics in there. And again, I try my best not to even discuss politics because I do believe that people go off of emotion versus facts. But this time, I'm actually going to give my opinion on politics and what I think was completely a screw up by everybody. I'm talking about Republicans and Democrats, Independents. I don't care. You screwed up. Texas was all messed up, and the people that were supposed to be in charge and supporting their constituents failed them miserably. So we'll talk about that, and then I also want to bring up some topics about graduating seniors and what I was actually told are some of the requirements and stuff that's going on in the dental schools as we speak.
All right. So who wants to start?
Well, hold on. What's going on in the dental schools?
Oh, okay. Well, we'll start with that then. Gary, that was great. I'm glad that I said all that for Gary to basically just change everything completely.
I didn't hear any of it. That's the only thing I
heard. So he stopped listening to me. And I thought that was actually a pretty good monologue.
I thought so too.
I thought it was a really good monologue. And Gary's like, yep.
It was like Beowulf.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start off with the graduating class that just finished in dental school. They basically had they took their NERPs actually. The class that's now the seniors, and I'm not going to say the school's name, but they took their exam, right? Their NERPs
exam.
Yeah. Well, so listen to this. So remember when we were in dental school, we had to take a restorative on patients.
Right.
Right. You had to do your class and perio on patients. This time they only had to take it on typodonts or typodonts, or however way you like to say it. They had to take it. So basically on fake teeth.
Okay.
They still had 20. They still had 20 failures for the restorative. So basically doing a filling on fake teeth that's ideal.
With no decay on it.
With no decay. So there was no way you could have left any decay. There was no way.
Wow.
Okay, you just had to cut an ideal. And mind you, we were doing this in our second and third year of dental school. Yeah. We practiced a lot of this. So all you had to do was basically better than what you were when you were second year. 20 people failed.
Isn't like the 557 burr 1.8 millimeters long? So all you have to do is bury it, and you're like right at where you need to be.
What you're saying to me, okay, is going to anger me more. Because these were ideal situations. You didn't have to worry about patients not showing up.
Yeah.
Okay, your patient was going to be there because your patient's head, which is the typodont, was with you. You could have went to sleep with that damn thing.
You didn't have to ask for a modification.
You didn't have to ask for anything different. You just cut a tooth, ideally, give it to them. And they look at it and say, "Hey,
didn't even have to numb them up. Didn't even have to numb them up."
Oh man,
Kyle,
none of that.
Kyle,
I didn't even think about that.
You eliminated anything to do with a patient.
Yeah.
I mean, everything to do with a patient. You eliminated it. Okay. And I want someone I'm going to do the math real quick. So there were 76 kids, right? And 20 of them failed. So we're looking at a success rate of less than 75%.
Wow.
So 74% of the people did not pass.
Wow.
Whoa, you mean
26% failed.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So 74 of them passed. I'm sorry, 74 of them passed. And so again, these are people that are going to graduate, and when they graduate, they're going to actually see real people, and they're going to actually have differences. It's not going to be an ideal restoration,
here's the thing.
feeling.
But see, they're going to graduate, but if they can't pass a licensure, they will not be seeing any patients because they will not be licensed to practice.
You hope so,
unless they go to New York or California.
You hope so,
right.
So there are other means of getting there, right? But imagine this: you basically graduated dental school without touching a single patient for your licensure exam.
Now with this class.
By the way,
did they change
I'm
the
going to tell you more.
Oh, okay.
You guys are good. I feel like this meltdown in Texas has gotten you guys to start thinking a lot better, and I love this. This is going to be a brand new podcast. We're going to be well educated, well informed, asking good questions. So for the perio part, you had to do a deep cleaning on patients. Okay. Mm-hmm. And you bring the patient in, you check to make sure they had calculus, and then you take the calculus away. So the back in the day,
but it wasn't even that complicated because it was like 90% was just filling out the paperwork correctly.
Okay, Gary.
Like that was like 90% of the exam.
You are absolutely correct. Knowing where the calculus was and then putting it on a piece of paper was 90% of the success. So the other 10% was actually just saying, oh, there was calculus here. Let me take the calculus away. Let me go back and see, do I feel any calculus? Yes or no? If it's a yes, you go back and take more. If it's a no, you're done. Very, very simple. It was incredibly simple. I'm talking about it. You know, if you're walking down the street and you see a ravenous dog, you ask yourself, is this dog foaming at the mouth? Yes or no? If it's a yes, you go the other way. If it's a no, you keep moving forward. That's how simple life should be for these kids. But it wasn't the case because 4 of them failed the periodontal part. And again, this was done on typodons. So they actually put calculus that you can take out the tooth. Look at where the calculus. I don't know, but you can take out the tooth. Look where the calculus is. Put the tooth back, clean it off. Or hell, you can even take the tooth out, clean it, put it back, and send it off and say, I'm done.
I don't think they probably didn't allow them to take the
Gary,
tooth actually.
We're going to assume.
You didn't even have to worry about the comfort of the patient, them complaining about anything, them getting numb, nothing. You
didn't have to worry about bleeding. You didn't have to worry about. Yeah. Okay, well, so this is what I found out. The reason why they failed was because they used the Cavitron. And if anybody doesn't know what a Cavitron is, it's just like a ultrasonic, like a vibrator. It really it's like a vibrator that cleans the teeth with water, right? Mm. And this machine basically just like oscillates really fast, and you use that to just kind of get rid of the calculus. If you have something that's soft, like a fake tooth, the typodon tooth, the last thing that you should do is use something that's going to cut into that tooth. Mm. There were 4 kids that decided to use a Cavitron, and they cut into the tooth. And then when they were asked, hey, why did you do that? They said, I don't know. And then they said, well, did you not see that you were cutting into the tooth? And they said, yes. And they kept polishing, trying to get rid of it and make it smooth and smoothing it out. So there were 4 kids that failed that. Okay. Wow. And Kyle, this is Gary, this is when I pray very hard for dentistry, because I'm trying to figure out how much easier can we make this?
Yeah.
How much easier can we make it? Back in the day, you would have like the older dentist saying, "Oh, when I was going through dental school, it was harder than da da da." We sound like that now, guys.
Yeah.
But it's not even like
not everybody shines on the same day.
Gary. Gary, you had 2-3 years to practice with a typodon.
Hey, somebody needs to retake the exam so the board can get paid.
Is that what we're going to use anymore? Whenever when I was looking for my board patients, I found them both patients for my restorative and my perio on the same day, 2 days before I was actually scheduled to take my exam.
Ooh, that's close.
Yeah.
Oh, and it wasn't by choice.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank God they both came and everything worked out really well. The difference is these kids don't have to worry about that.
No.
Here's another dirty secret that a lot of dental schools pretend that it doesn't exist. These patients have gotten so smart that they ask for money from dental students who have no money.
It's extortion.
To basically come for their appointment.
Yeah.
Their appointment to basically have free cleaning done, free fillings done. You're basically now saying, hey, I know how valuable I am to you, dental student person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you for money so that I can come and help you pass and become a dentist.
Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't have to worry about it this year. So they were richer than we were.
Yeah.
They were more financially
less in debt.
less in debt than we were, Gary.
Those 20 will have to make up for that when they got to pay for that exam again.
Oh, very true.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
So I say all this to say I'm terrified for the future of dentistry.
Have you heard if the actual requirements for dental school has changed?
Sorry. So again, I'm not going to say the name of the school, but it's basically requirements for for dentures, right? Kyle, we know that you hate dentures. I hated dentures too.
Me too.
You just have to do 2 of them in 2 years. Let me do that because it looked like I was giving a finger on the video.
Are you talking about two sets or 2 arches?
I want to say it's 2 sets, but I could be wrong. It could just be 2. So you could just have one patient that needs one on the top, one on the bottom. All I was told was 2.
Okay.
You see, for scaling and root planing, you just need, that's scaling SRPs. You need 6 in your 3rd year, and then 2 in your 4th year. So 8 total, and you're done.
What's the statistic? 70% of the population has some form of periodontal disease? 60
to 70% of the American population has some form of periodontal disease. Yeah.
Okay. So you only have to do...
So you have to do 8.
8, okay.
I think for like crowns, it might be like 2 or 3 now. Hell, and I bet you they probably have to 2 or 3.
Man,
and I bet you they probably have to do it on. Yes, we had to do 13.
And I thought that was low.
and I bet you it's on Tipidons too. So again, man, I go to say I get it, right? COVID, right? Everybody, I've realized in life now, everybody, if you want to get away with anything, let's just say that you don't pay your car mortgage, or I'm sorry, your mortgage or your car. Just say COVID. Oh, blame it on COVID, and that's it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm building a house, and every time I talk to the contractor, it's COVID.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're behind because of COVID. And I'm like, all right, cool. Keep using that. I'm gonna beat your ass one day, but keep using it. It's okay. COVID. And it seems like that's the excuse now everybody wants to use is COVID.
Yeah.
Is it a legitimate excuse? Probably. But after a while, you got to say, you guys have had a long time now. We got to figure something. If the schools can't allow us to do what we're doing in private practice, which is, screen the patient as valid as that is, taking the temperature and all this stuff and bringing the patients in, I can guarantee you people want to get their teeth cleaned. People want to get their fillings done. Root canals done.
As far as schools, in my personal opinion,
please,
all you have to do is vaccinate all the teachers, all the staff, and there should be no reason why the school's closed.
Right.
And then any 12 and older, whatever.
Right. And the fact that some of these schools are affiliated with hospitals will make it a little easier. It's not like Kyle, no offense, Kyle, you're in the middle of nowhere, right?
Right.
And you had to go fight for these vaccinations, and you still got it.
Yep.
You're in a school that's associated with a hospital most of the time, or a medical center of some sort.
Yep.
You have the means. I don't get it now, man. I really don't get it.
Public school, they should be rolling up a truck and
get your ass.
them
yes,
up.
That's it. Get a shot and move on. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Again, guys, I wanted to do this at the end because I didn't want to get riled up, but Gary wanted me to get riled up.
I think everything else we're talking about is probably
this week has been hell enough, and then Gary wants me to get pissed off even more.
All right, so when's the last time you took a shower? A real shower? Like hot water coming out of the faucet?
Sunday. Sunday was the last time, because remember,
6 days. 6 days.
6 days was the last time I was able to literally turn on the water and have the faucet provide me with water of some sort, right? Because Monday I lost power. What was it? It was 4:58 a.m. And how do I know that? Because I was awake, because the power was kept going in and out at 1:22 a.m. So I lost power, and then I didn't get it back again until Tuesday night around 3:00. And then the funny thing was, once that happened, then the water cut off. So it was kind of like God just had a sense of humor. Said, "Okay, good, you got your water, you got heat, but guess what? Got you, bitch. And let me take the water away from you now." So the funny thing was, like, and I'm actually very, very lucky and blessed, because I could turn the faucet on and have a little bit of water coming. So we would actually just put it underneath and let it just fill up so that we could boil water for other means, which included flushing toilets and stuff. So until Friday, we were just doing that, and then the water came on more permanently, where it was a little more powerful. But we had to be under this boil water alert, and we're still not. This is still happening.
We're still under that.
We're still under that, and this is Saturday. And again, water went out Tuesday, so this is Saturday. We're still under the boil water, so I just don't feel comfortable taking a shower and having any kind of bacteria get in my mouth. And people laugh when I say this, but apparently the way they explained it was, when you have the water actually flowing through the pipes at a substantial pressure or rate, this magical bacteria can't go through the pipes. But the second it slows down, then the bacteria somehow can actually seep through the pipes. So the bacteria. Go ahead, explain, Gary, because it made no sense to me.
Okay, my understanding of it was a little different.
Please.
And is that at the water treatment facility, right, there needs to be a certain amount of pressure to push the water through the treatment chemicals or whatever, right?
Okay.
So if there's not enough pressure, then the water is basically stagnant and is just flowing without being properly treated.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. So you need 35 psi to push the water through the actual chemical whatever treatment thing.
So why do they keep bringing up the fact that the pipes could have bacteria? And are they talking about from the treatment center?
Yes. So since there's not enough pressure, the water's, think of it like a river.
Yeah.
Right. So like if there's heavy current, then it's pushing it through the treatment chemicals or whatever.
Right. Right.
But if it's like very light, like a lake, like the water is basically just kind of stagnant. So it's just like a very low flow. So probably only a percentage of the water is actually getting hit with the chemicals as opposed to the whole body of water.
Right.
So that's why.
If you're having water mains break and water lines break, that allows bacteria into the pipes also. And that's in my area when we go under a boil water notice, that's generally because a pipe broke somewhere and that lets, everything into the pipes.
Yeah. Oh, and that was another thing too, Kyle. Yeah. So water pipes did break. I mean, and like I said, we were lucky because our house, the pipe, thank God, did not break. And other people weren't so fortunate.
Yeah,
honestly,
like me. Do you see my ceiling fan? It's frozen.
Shut up, Kyle.
It's messed up.
That's the first thing that we after a while you just have to laugh. And Kyle, you made us laugh because I saw that I started cracking up. I was like,
so you know how that happened though. You know how that happens, right? So people leave their water dripping, but to keep the pipes from freezing. But when you lose power, if your house drops below like 55 degrees, your pipes are going to freeze.
Right.
So now your pipes froze
because there's water in there.
And then they burst, and then now you got water in a ceiling fan, frozen water in a ceiling fan.
Gary, it's amazing to me. Whenever we have a disaster, Gary learns so much about random shit that that he becomes like the expert.
Well, because
he has too much time in his hands.
I got free time. You would not believe the amount of shit I got done this week. Oh my God, I got so much done. It's crazy.
So the internet worked for everybody.
Nope.
Well, I never lost
power. Yeah.
I never lost power. So, so I did like 14 hours of CE. I had a meeting with my financial advisor, bought a whole bunch of stock, opened a Fidelity account. I did so much stuff. I did all of my mileage for 2020, my mileage log. I got so much done.
I just try to keep my daughters alive. So it was different. It was a little different. It was Gary got Fidelity. I just wanted to keep make sure that my kid didn't die.
Well,
not the same.
I will tell you though,
both very, very, very the same. Very much, very important.
Well, in my house, I have 2 units for the AC and the heat, right? And one of my compressor coils broke a couple months ago, right? And I was like, oh, it's not hot, it's not cold, whatever. I'd wait it out. That shit did not work the last couple of days. So I only had heat on 2 floors of my house.
You see how Kyle, you see how Gary just tried to relate to me not having any electricity at all? He's like, well. I was so warm upstairs. I was freezing downstairs. When you can walk. When
I wanted to buy my stocks, I had to go upstairs.
I mean, thank God. Yeah, I live in a place where shit didn't.
Do you know how uncomfortable it was having to go from the first floor to the second? It was cold and then warm. Oh God. Yes. I feel for you, Walter. There was a time, I remember it was Monday morning. We had no electricity, so I was like, okay, I need to find food. So we're driving. I get my daughter and my wife, and then we're in the car, and we drove. We're just looking for anywhere. And one thing about Texas is they don't have any kind of plows, so the roads were not only slick, but they were just like this. It was just nasty, right? So you're like sliding. And it kind of reminded me of Pittsburgh, actually, whenever we had a bad storm. And you remember how you'd be driving and then you see the light or you see the stop sign. You're like, all right, let's see what happens.
Oh, and you're like halfway through the intersection.
Right. I'm like, good luck, everybody else. And I slam on the brakes and I pray to God that I stop. You know what I mean? That was basically how it was. It was kind of like, okay, let's see what happens. And you slam on the brakes and you're just like, yep, still going. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, and I'm not sure if I should give a shout out to this company, but Buc-ee's, and it's a big gas station in Texas, they're huge. They had power and hot food, so we went there actually to. Nice. And I shout out to Buc-ee's. We went there to actually get food, and I asked the people that worked there. I said, "Hey, how do you guys have power and stuff?" They were like, "Oh man, every Buc-ee's has huge generators. No, they basically install." And I'm thinking to myself, either the Buc-ee's CEO is the most brilliant person in the world that could predict the future, or they were just like, you know what, we don't trust Texas at all. Let's just go and make sure that we never lose power at all, right? Because of the hurricanes, the 32-degree temperature that causes a meltdown of the power supply or whatever. But every single Buc-ee's had power. It was amazing.
Well, or it was in 1989 when they lost power. Or in 2011, when the Texas power grid went off the line, also, and at that point, they were probably like, "We need to get some generators."
And everything was going smooth. I was actually impressed. So the one thing I learned this time was I need to buy a generator. Me too. I also need to not have any more kids because I can't. This was just not good for my heart. Trying to keep 2 kids entertained for a week is hard. And I have so much respect for daycare workers and anybody that deals with kids, because I don't know where the patience comes from but God gives them some kind of patience. Like after a while, you start to look at your kids like, I swear to God, say something again. You know what I mean? Like you lose, you just like, I don't have the energy to continue every single day on this high level.
You just zone out the screaming eventually.
Yes. Daycare workers and teachers and stuff. I salute you.
Pediatric dentists.
Dentists. I salute you guys beyond belief. Like it's amazing what you guys can do. I can't do it. And I've learned my lesson. I can't do it. So I think
no more dreams of a Fat Five, huh?
No, never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Gary, I swear to God, this if you have kids, you understand. If you had kids and were in Texas, you completely understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you had kids that were older than or less than like 4, you really understand, because after a while they were driving themselves crazy. You know what I mean? Like we had a point where like would start, one would yell and the other one would just yell, and it would just go back and forth, just yelling. Ah, ah, ah. And that's all I would hear for about 30 minutes of just yelling and running around. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Oh no, it's a game they created where they just yell at each other, just out loud. But they weren't mad; they were just yelling. I swear to God.
So did you? Oh, go ahead, Kyle.
I was going to ask that you mentioned food. You know, what I'm seeing on the news is it's basically beginning of COVID all over again, where all the grocery store shelves are empty. People can't find food. Is that?
It's worse.
Is it?
It's like COVID plus Katrina.
Yes.
Like there ain't shit in the store. Like there's nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and the supply trucks can't come. Like it is. There's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You know, and then also too. So then, like we thought, hey, because we have no power, let's go get a hotel
in Mexico.
No. We'll get.
Should have done that.
We'll get to that. Because I had 2 different feelings about Ted Cruz. The first was, what an asshole. Then I said, I'm an asshole because I didn't think of it. So then I was mad at myself.
Yeah.
For not thinking of it.
We're talking about flying Cruz.
You're flying Cruz.
Can Cruz.
No, but here's the part that actually makes me more angry than dealing with Ted Cruz situation. People started taking advantage of other people. Yeah. Hotels would jack up their prices, and mind you, they probably hadn't had service or people going into their hotels for months, right, because of COVID.
Right. So
when this opportunity came, they started jacking up prices. Container of water would, you'd sell that for what, like $2 or $3, Gary?
Yeah.
Like 20, 20 like bottles, like
$3.99.
Yeah, $3.99,
yeah.
$5 or whatever.
Yeah.
They were jacking up to like $20.
Yeah.
So this is a kind
of capitalism.
Right. And so that's the part that really got to me, right? Because I mean, to me, I'm looking at what's going on. I'm on my phone. By the way, if you had Verizon, AT&T, it didn't matter what you had. It wasn't working if you had no power, right?
Yeah.
The internet, or what's it called?
The towers.
The towers were all kinds of messed up too. So you weren't getting anything. You know what I mean? So like I could barely make phone calls or check the internet to find hotels where we could call and stay. So there was a lot of factors going on. You know what I mean? In the end, you just sit there and you just go like, how did we get ourselves in this situation? To be one of the wealthiest countries and to have to go through this. I mean, somebody has to answer for that.
Well,
right? And then when they go on TV, the governor, Kyle, this is actually where I disagree with you.
Too.
Right. And then, when you go on TV as the governor and you say, oh, it's their fault, and it's called what, ERCOT? But ERCOT is basically, so imagine, and again, Gary, please correct me if I'm wrong, right? So the people that make the power basically tell ERCOT, here's an amount of power that we made. And then ERCOT basically distributes it out to other people that provide the power to the houses, right? So ERCOT controls that part. So basically they said, hey, we don't have enough for everybody. Go ahead, Gary.
Well,
go ahead. No, if you know better, just speak.
But well, ERCOT is not the one that like distribute it to your house. They're the one that distribute it to
the
Pepco
people
and NRG
exactly.
and like
all the companies. So they distribute to the companies, and so they go, hey, we don't have enough. So companies, what you need to do is start shutting people off. However you do it, it's up to you. Start shutting people off, right? But here's the funny thing, and again, Gary, tell me if I'm wrong. The people that make power had regulations to make sure that their generators could basically run under a certain temperature. And it's up to them to regulate that and keep that going, kind of make sure that their system is capable of doing that. Because Texas is privately owned. Again, Gary, tell me if I'm wrong. And not government regulated. So
what ERCOT is the Electric Reliability Council of Texas. Okay. So they are the regulatory body. They're basically like the oversight that kind of controls stuff, whatever.
Right.
But yes, so in Texas, it's like most of the energy is privatized.
Yes.
But there's a state regulatory body.
Not a federal one.
Correct.
A state one.
Because Texas has its own grid.
Yes.
That is separate from there's two other grids in the United States. There's the East Coast one and the West Coast one, and that thing goes all the way up through Canada. Right? So if a state loses power, you can pull power from another state, right? But Texas decided to separate themselves from everybody else's grid in order to have no oversight
by the government,
by the federal government. So it's all state oversight.
So, Kyle, you hate oversight from government, but this is the problem. This is the time where I can say I completely disagree with you, because 16 people, and tell me if I'm wrong, Gary, died. And I heard a story of an 11-year-old.
That's in Houston. It's over 100. Yeah, it's over 100 in the state of Texas,
right, from
carbon monoxide poison alone.
You see, and again, regulation to a certain extent, Kyle, and anybody else that's listening, it's not a bad thing. I agree with you that there are certain things that the government should not be touching because it just makes it worse. But there are certain things that you got to say for the protection of people. You have to do it, right? If you left it for dentists to oversee, to make sure that they clean they keep track of OSHA's regulations and stuff like that, they probably wouldn't do it because it may be not cost effective.
Well, I disagree, because actually, if you have a state board, the board has dentists on it, and they would be the ones that are the oversight. So that kind of is like self-regulation.
Well, who's in charge of OSHA?
Well, OSHA's a.
That's the
separate
example I used. I didn't talk about anything else. I said OSHA. That's what I'm saying. There is some no. This angers me because there are some regulations that I truly believe that is needed, right? And then there's a lot that you're right, Kyle. It just makes it like the government jumping into it makes it not only slower, it makes it more inefficient.
Right.
And that's the part. But go ahead.
I've never claimed to be an anarchist where I don't think there shouldn't be any government. My position has always been as limited government as possible. And there needs to be government for, infrastructure, for general defense, for things like that. But this is, I don't know if this is because I grew up in a small town, but I am of the self-reliance mindset. So we live on a property where we got a spring that I'm always going to have fresh water. It's always bubbling up out of the ground for the past 150 years. There's been a spring there. So I ain't ever running out of water. I have a generator for my house so that my whole house, my double wide is electric. It doesn't use a lot of electric, but the heat's electric, everything. I got a generator where I can plug it in and I can have power even when the whole grid shuts down. So I'm preparing for all of that stuff.
Okay, well, what happens when DuPont comes and buys the land north of your land and then starts making Teflon and throwing those chemicals
into your well? and now your beautiful spring well.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
That's a problem.
You see, so now you've eliminated your natural
your water
spring,
source.
Your natural spring water that Kyle likes to bathe in just for regeneration. That's why he looks so young.
That's a fountain of youth.
It's a fountain of youth.
Mountain spring water.
If you listen to FEMA, everybody should have at least 3-day supply of water, food, stuff like that. So
no, I agree.
Looking for lessons throughout all of this, it's more self-reliance, be able to take care of yourself, plan for the unexpected. Right. Same things we learned from COVID. Financially, have that emergency fund available if you're out of work, if you're sick, be able to take care of yourself, plan for those unforeseeable things. If the power goes out for a week, if you can't go to the grocery store because there's no food on the shelves, have that supply of things at your house so you can weather the storm.
Kyle, so then I asked you a question. So not everybody's a dentist, right? To have the financial means to do that. How do you accommodate for people that live paycheck to paycheck, like legitimately live paycheck to paycheck? How do you make sure that they have those surpluses? And that's a discussion, I think, you know what I mean?
Well,
it sounds easier said than done in my mind.
Right. The things that I have set up is mainly I have the ability to afford that kind of thing. But food and water, having a couple of cases of bottled water at $4 a case, what they're gouging you for now, having some canned foods or boxed foods or something, those are easy things to prepare for. If it's stuff that you're generally eating anyway, you just rotate it through. You just have a little bit extra supply of it because you don't know what's going to happen when it's going to happen. And canned food, that lasts years. So it's not something where you have a huge investment to have a little bit of wiggle room when it comes to a disaster.
Yeah. So, and go ahead, Gary.
Oh, I was just agreeing. I mean, I just used my COVID. I had got stuff because I thought that Biden was going to lock down the country.
Jesus Christ.
For like a month. I already had water. I already had canned food. Like I already had all this stuff. But now I got to go restock it because I used it all.
Right. And I we laugh about this and we joke, because we can now. But I do believe that there's a lot of factors that we are more blessed to have than other people. You know what I mean? Like there was a story about an 11-year-old kid that actually froze to death coming out of Honduras. I think it was the first time he saw snow. There's a video of him playing in the snow. And because he had no electricity and he lived in, I think it was a trailer home, right? Mm-hmm. He had no power. He ended up freezing to death. Like the mom found him the next day. And it's it's sad. There's so many different things that people just can't afford. You know what I mean? And I honestly think certain things like this, like again, we don't have, natural spring waters and stuff like that. But I feel like somehow we have to kind of accommodate for those and provide the necessary means. Like, okay, maybe your power can't get shut off in an emergency, so everybody can at least get through it. You see, capitalism is good until it starts to hurt people. And I feel like that's, you don't have to say, oh, well, everybody can fend for themselves, the free market. I agree with all that. But sometimes we have to just be bigger than that and help each other as much as possible. And not everybody has the same means to, store 3 days worth of water, especially if you have like 4 or 5 kids. You know what I mean? Like that's the difference. That's what I'm getting at in the end. You know what I mean? Like we have to turn to somebody to help somehow. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. All right, so
go ahead.
Back on the power grid, right?
Okay.
It's genius, right? If they had taken the time to winterize and insulate the equipment, it would not have failed.
Right.
And none of this would have happened.
Yes.
In 1989, same thing happened.
Okay.
Right? Guess what happened? They didn't winterize. They didn't insulate. 2011, same thing happened. They didn't winterize. They didn't insulate. Happened again this year. Guess what they're probably not going to do?
Right. That's it. No, they make no, you're right, Gary. They make a big deal out of it until they're just kind of like, okay, people have forgotten it.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over now. People have forgotten it, right? So now we need to move on, right? It's kind of like Katrina, right? There were so many issues with Katrina and and all the infrastructure. Harvey, we talked about how the infrastructure was horrible and the dams shouldn't have done this, and this reservoir shouldn't have done this and that and that. 3 months later, no one's talking about that anymore.
Well, but at least in Houston, they had, I don't know, it was like a 10 million. We voted on it. It was like a $10 million thing to
widen the reservoirs and stuff.
Yes,
like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you seen anything like that happen?
Yes.
I haven't seen any constructions.
There's tons of oh no, like if you go down Braeswood Bayou,
Okay.
they open that sucker up, man. It's like twice as wide now. And then also if you go down 610, like down Meyerland.
Okay.
You know how there's all that construction?
Yeah, Meyerland always floods, yeah.
Yeah, so they redid the whole water filtration system down the whole side of 610 so that street won't flood.
Okay, well, let's talk about how did this affect dentistry? And that even goes to you, Kyle. Like, you're going through a winter storm right now, right? If you didn't have power, if you had to boil your water, how would it affect you? Because I was off for a whole week because I couldn't go to work.
Yeah.
Gary, you were off for a whole week.
But I'd have to shut down for the week.
Days. Yeah, 6 days, no income.
Right. So again, and when you say no income too, you also have to think about that means you didn't have an opportunity to help people. So there are people at home that if they've needed root canals because they're in pain, they couldn't go.
And they couldn't call you because the phone lines are down, so you can't call in a prescription for them. They can't get to the pharmacy. Their
pharmacy was down. Yep.
But honestly, I kind of also look at it like, let's say I was open. Was anybody going to come?
Well, if they're in pain enough, people will always find ways. It's always about means, right? There's a means to an end. If you're in pain, I can guarantee you they would have been there.
Well, I guess if I had power and they didn't, they
would be there, especially for that. They would absolutely be there. They'd be like, hey, I can go get warm in that office.
Yeah.
He may be charging me, but I'm gonna get warm in the end. You see the whole, So that's something that I was like, man. So not only did the lack of leadership prevent, we talk about economy, right? COVID destroyed us economically.
Right.
And then incompetence of the leaders also destroyed us.
Yep.
It was like one thing after another. It's like first COVID, which of course, okay, you couldn't fight that. But something that you can prevent and it still happens, that's really when you start getting irritated.
Yeah.
Because this could have been prevented easily.
So when do you guys think you're going back to work?
I'm going back on Monday.
If the boil water is lifted.
So yes, but I'm working in Sugar Land on Monday, and in that location, they just sent me the flyer or whatever, and in that lifted. In that location, they lifted the boil water, and it's supposed to be lifted for the majority of at least the city of Houston by the end of Monday.
Do your dental units have bottled water hookups? Is it all its own contained system at those offices you work at, or is it city water going into the unit?
So for most of the offices that Walter and I work at, the chair has a bottle, but for distilled water, right? But they have some like distilled water system that's like built into the ground. So the city water flows into that water. So they're actually having to so it's like there's one faucet you can push and distilled water will come out of it. But since it's boiled water, now they have to fill up a jug, go boil the distilled water so it can be used in the chairs. Sounds strange to me.
Isn't the point of distilling the water to take out all the impurity? Isn't distilling water basically boiling it and taking the vapor?
Yes. So that's like it sounds strange to me. Like, I don't know. I think it's kind of a...
Well, would the bacteria be affected? And would the bacteria, like if you have a system that supposedly distills the water, would that include getting rid of bacteria, or how does that work? I don't know.
Well, yeah, like distilling the water is like making liquor. You know,
I didn't even know that you could actually have a system that would distill the water for you. I had no idea. I'll be the first one to let you know.
Yeah, like there's some I forgot the name. Like it's like reverse osmosis system, something like something like that. Yeah. I don't know exactly how that system functions, but traditional distilling water, like Kyle was saying, like you heat up the water and to vapor, and then you cool it, and now it's distilled. But you're also like you're taking all the minerals out of it when you do that.
Right, and that's what I knew. I thought it was the mineral part that you didn't want in your lines because then you have calcification and damage your lines. That's what I was thinking.
Exactly. But I think because that system is hooked up to the city water is why they're boiling it, because like no one really knows.
It sounds like we don't either.
Yeah, so they're like
I mean, I can see that
to make sure that it's not.
If you have to boil for what, 20 minutes?
No, it's like once you bring it to
a roll and boil,
it's like 2 minutes.
For 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it might take you 10 minutes to get it to
that rolling. Yeah.
Right. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So hopefully Monday.
Right.
Hopefully.
Right. Hopefully. So basically, we've had a whole week where we couldn't work. We couldn't work, and that's probably the last thing on my mind was, And I heard that there were people that wanted to open their offices, and so they would basically go and just boil some water and bring it to the office and pour it into the lines.
Okay.
Just so they would say that, hey, we boiled we did the boiled water, and so that we could open the office and do dentistry. And my mindset was, well, one, I guess you have nothing better to do but to do that, because for me, I don't understand why a patient would want to come in right now. You know what I mean? And not like
I just said that, and you answered the question.
No, I get. I mean, listen, greed is. So my question.
No. You said that if a patient is in pain, they will find a way to come to see the dentist.
Right, and I talked to the person, who told me about another dentist doing this, and it wasn't because the patient is in pain. It was, and I quote, "When are we going to start cutting crowns?" It didn't say anything like, "I need to get this patient out of pain, and I'll do whatever it takes." That was not the statement, and they didn't do that either. Rah rah, they didn't do the rah rah zis boom bot. No, they basically said, and I quote, "When are we going to start cutting crowns?"
There's overhead insurance. There's different insurances that should, I would think, kick in. A lot of dentists tried to take advantage of that whenever there was a global pandemic, a shutdown, but the insurance companies said, no, we're not paying any of these claims because in our fine print, we said this doesn't cover global pandemics. So they got out of paying for, overhead expenses for, the 2.5 months everybody was shut down. So if people's pipes are bursting in their houses while they're in their houses trying to stay warm, nobody's going to be in these dental offices. So I'm assuming pipes are breaking there also. So there might be an even longer waiting time for a patient to get in to see their dentist if the pipes have broken in the office, if they have to wait for those repairs to be done as far as the pipes, the carpets, cleaning up all the damage. I would hope the dentists have their insurances for their business set up that the business will recover. They won't take a big financial hit from that, but I'm sure the insurance companies will, as much as I like insurance companies, as we know, I'm sure they'll find a way out of paying for a lot of those claims also.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it was my office, I probably would do it a little differently. I wouldn't have been open yesterday or today. Monday is when they said that the boil water notice should be over. So on Monday, I would go to the office, assess everything, and then for the rest of the week, just have extended hours. That's what I would do.
An office manager told me that he's trying to open on Sunday, meaning tomorrow. And I said, man, you are better than I am. I thought on the 7th day we rest, but I guess not.
I mean, I would open on next Sunday, not this Sunday.
I thought on the 7th day we rest. So I said, you are a better man than I am. That's what I said. I said, you're a better man than I am, because I personally would not. With everything that I have to deal with, like right now, this is like this is right now my therapy session, because I'm tired. You know, it's been a long week, you know, and I could not imagine being to the level that I would like to be to go see a patient to do any dentistry. That's just me. I'll speak for myself.
Oh, I
know
agree.
what I mean? Like, give me a day or two where I actually have electricity and I'm not freaking out. Like, this is PTSD, where like I'm like, hey, go boil some water right now, because you don't know when we're gonna have power. Like, I'm still freaking out about turning lights on and off, and I'm like, we need to conserve so that everybody else can get on the grid and all this other stuff. Like, I'm still going through that.
Yeah, I mean, I was supposed to work 6 days this week.
Yeah.
So Monday through Saturday, right?
Okay.
On Wednesday, I was like, let me go ahead and call this office on Friday and tell them I'm not coming.
And mind you, he had electricity and heat just on the 2 floors.
But I couldn't take a shower.
But could you imagine? But Gary, could you imagine somebody who didn't have electricity? Their mindset was like, I'm not even worried about these offices.
But
I don't care.
But I have to say something to the office.
Right.
So I'm just like, you know, I'm not coming in there on a bird bath. You know, I'm not doing it. Like, you know, I'm not doing it.
Nobody knows anyway. All your stench is contained in your spacesuit, so nobody's gonna smell you anyway.
Exactly. I always wonder that. Like, I can't smell anything. So like, what do I smell like? I hope I don't stink. I don't know.
If you see that nobody in the office is talking to you, you probably smell bad. You know,
well, I don't want you to talk to me anyway. So that's a great day. If no one comes to talk to me, that's the type of day.
Okay. Well, let me ask you guys a question, right? Now that you guys have gotten both of your COVID shots, Kyle, have you gotten both of yours?
I did. Yep.
Now that you guys have both gotten it, and actually, this actually goes more to Gary. Are you gonna relax your precautions? And I'm gonna say precautions.
That's going straight to Gary, because my precautions they went out the window in May.
So I actually have not worn a hazmat suit since I have gotten my second shot.
Okay.
But I still wear 2 gowns though. I wear a disposable and
big respirator.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm gonna wear that. Like, shit, I'm gonna wear that forever. I don't, you know.
Wow.
Why though?
Because all right, so it's easier. It's reusable.
Yes.
And it's cleanable. Like if you like your N95 mask, like you're not gonna, yeah. So like you're probably gonna use the N95 for the whole day, right? And put a level 3 mask over top, right? So, but you can't you can, but like you can't really clean it.
It's disposable. I throw it away.
Yeah, but I mean between patients.
Well, so actually, I'm probably.
So you clean your respirator in between every patient?
Yeah, I mean I don't take it off, but I mean it's plastic, so like I wipe it like with a cavi wipe.
But what about
what I also do is I take alcohol and I kind of just close my eyes and.
I was just gonna ask you that. So there are little tiny crevices in there that like blood and stuff can get into. So you actually figure a way to clean inside the crevices and stuff.
Well, here's the
while
thing.
your mask is on.
I'm an endodontist. I am not a periodontist. I'm not an oral surgeon. I'm not a general dentist. The amount of blood I see on a daily basis wouldn't even fill up half a piece of gauze.
What about all the decay particles?
So when I was wearing a hazmat, I was happy about that because it's not getting in my hair. So but see, when I don't wear the hazmat, I wear actually 2 surgical caps to cover all my hair, and then I'm wearing 2 gowns. So really, the only thing that's exposed is like maybe like right under my loops, maybe like right here, maybe right here, because the surgical cap only goes, and then like my neck. So that's why I spray myself down with alcohol. Okay, so Kyle believes his immune system will save the day, and you, despite the fact that you've gotten both of your shots, you're fine with just keeping everything the same way. I mean, I've been doing it for so long. I'm like, why?
Why change it now?
I mean, I'm sure Kyle's probably the same way. Like, I've been doing this for so long. Why am I going to change anything?
Yeah.
Kyle refuses to change even with COVID. So he's the worst person to talk to about this. I mean, and Gary, I actually kind of agree with you. Like, I've been wearing 2 N95s for so long that like it doesn't affect me now. Now I don't even think about it.
You wear 2 N95s.
I don't know how you breathe through 2 N95s.
It's very. The funny thing is your lungs are very beautiful because they can actually figure a way to. So I remember the first day that I went back to work, and for the first week, you started getting. I remember I was like, God, I'm getting lightheaded and stuff like that, right? Because I wasn't used to so many layers.
2 N95s on.
2 N95s.
I don't know how you're breathing through that.
Now I'm just like, it's a regular day. It's another day, just going straight through. Don't even think twice about it. My intake, my lungs are probably so efficient.
Yeah.
You
can hold your breath for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't even think twice about it. I put 2 N95s. I don't even think twice about it. And I
Mount Everest.
Yeah. I could be one of the people that kind of guide the others. Like, come on, stop being a little bitch.
Sherpas.
Come on, one of the Sherpas. Yeah, this is only 10,000 feet. Come on, we got a little more to go. Come on.
Yeah,
everybody's got oxygen, and I'm like, I'm fine. Come on, let's keep going. I lived through 2021 in Houston. Come on. No electricity. You're cold. Get the hell out of here. Come on. But yeah, let me see. I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to talk about Ted Cruz. I hate him. But I'm mad at him that I didn't think the same thing though. Yeah, I'm done actually with my list of. I talked about the school. I talked about boiling water for your office and the level of what you're going to go through to reopen and for financial gains. So yeah. Well, I don't have any other stories, guys.
I'm happy to hear both of you are doing well and hopefully returning to work soon. And I'm glad you had a. Go ahead, Gary.
Oh, I also renewed my Pennsylvania license this week as well.
Gary, no one cares. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Okay? While you had electricity, I did not. Stop telling me what you did.
Did you have any problems with it?
With electricity?
Oh yeah.
No, with the renewing your PA license.
Nah, like I did my child abuse CE, and then the next day it was already up on the, the renewal website thing or whatever. Filled out my stuff, and then the next day they were like, sent me an email, said you're renewed.
Yeah, it took me about a week because I had done my child abuse continuing education, and it wasn't posted. The instructor or whatever had to go back in and verify that everything was submitted to the state, and they finally went back through and approved it. But cool. Yeah. Productive week for you then.
Yeah. For Gary.
Did he invite you over?
Nope. No.
I only had 2. It's COVID.
He only had 2 floors.
I slept on the floor for like 2 days, man.
It's I wasn't even mad because I thought to myself, well, this is who I'm dealing with, right? He is afraid of COVID.
If it wasn't, hey,
so
man,
maybe my kids might have COVID. We don't know, right?
If it wasn't COVID, I would have invited everybody I know to come over.
That's what I'm saying. So my mindset was Gary is probably not going to invite you because of the COVID situation. And then on top of that, he has this fear of like, he has a small bubble.
Yeah.
So my excuse for Gary was he has a small bubble. He wants to keep that bubble safe.
So to end this podcast, what have you learned from this whole experience, and what are you going to do to make changes moving forward?
Well, for me, I'm probably going to dig a well in my backyard. Buy a generator for sure. I'm definitely buying a generator. And then what I'm going to do is I'm also not going to underestimate Houston's ability to deal with disasters. For example, if ever they say we're going to get an inch of snow, I'm going to Cancun for a week. Period. If they say they're getting 2 inches of snow, I'm going to Cancun for 3 months. Because that's how long it's going to take for them to get their act together, enough to get rid of this 2 inches of snow. It's not like, my mindset was, oh, I'm in up north again, where it took 30 inches of snow for problems to begin.
Mm-hmm.
In Houston, it's actually just an inch of snow.
What about you, Gary?
A centimeter of snow. What I learned is I need to check my HOA contract and see if putting a solar panel on my roof is against the HOA. If it's not, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get a battery. I'm gonna do some solar power.
Nice.
And then also to invest in commodities that are necessities like water.
Here we go again. Fidelity speaks again. While people are trying to live, Gary is talking about monetizing people's lives.
You gotta have water, man.
Gary's gonna, the second any disaster, Gary's gonna have like a website. If you want water, it's like $70 for for like five bottles. Capitalism.
Free market.
There you go.
And in Texas, they would be like, you know what? Here's a Citizen of the Year, Gary Dennis.
I'm selling water and I'm selling energy. Got them both.
You're only allowed to stay on my first floor. Whatever energy you have down there.
You better keep that mask on.
You better keep that mask. Yeah. Gary, you're gonna have to walk through like a tunnel that like sprays you with all these chemicals exactly before you can enter his house. Well, honestly, guys, I'm glad that we can all laugh about this now because was not funny on Monday.
No, I agree.
It was not funny, and Kyle said something that I actually found very touching. He said, "What did you say, Kyle? That because we weren't taking showers, what did you?"
It's been 24 hours. Sticking with you guys in solidarity, and going without a shower for 24 hours.
And the funny thing is, he doesn't have to do that at all. There's no need.
This is protest for
exactly
for our. I don't know.
It's a stink in. He wants. He wants to smell as bad as Texas. So it's all good. Well, thank you, gentlemen. This was therapy. I appreciate you guys as always.
Definitely.
All right, guys.
You turned it off.
All right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, man.
All right,
let me tell you.